This week we're going to talk about documenting accounting business processes and flowcharts and how they allow internal auditors particularly, but business owners generally, to understand how different processes flow through an organization. The goal is to help businesses be more efficient and to replicate processes across different divisions and different employees. Let's look at an activity. I want you to take a moment and think about your childhood home. Now I want you to imagine that you have someone from out of town coming to visit, and you have to give them directions to get to the grocery store. What I'd like you to do is write down on a piece of paper, or open up a notepad window and type it on your computer, and write out all of the step-by-step directions for how to get there. I want you to include as much detail as possible. So for example, do you walk out of your front door? Do you take a right down the street? How many steps or blocks if you're driving? Are there traffic lights? Are there landmarks that they would be aware of? I want you to give as much detail as possible to help this person who is unfamiliar with your neighborhood to get from your house to the local grocery store. Pause the video and take a few minutes to do that, and then come back and resume. Do you have your step-by-step directions? Now what we want to do is I want you to do that same thing, only this time I want you to draw a sketch of those directions, meaning grab a piece of paper and draw a brief map of how you get from your house to the grocery store, following the same directions that you included in the step-by-step. Pause the video, take a couple minutes to do this, and then come back and we'll look at this next step. Now we're going to revisit this one more time, only this time we want to use a little bit of automation to help us with the process. What I want you to do in this step is go to your favorite mapping software. It could be Google Maps or Apple Maps or Baidu or whatever service you use. And I want you to type in the directions from your house to the grocery store. Pause the video and take a moment to do that, then come back and resume the video. At this point, you should have three different directions, three different sets of instructions that help this complete stranger get from your childhood home to the local grocery store. If you were to look at these, both the written steps by step, the map that you drew on the back of a piece of paper, and the automated directions based on a computer program, which of these three methods would you recommend to your friend? All three of these different elements have advantages and disadvantages. For example, if I'm looking at the step-by-step directions, I am going to include a lot of detail that I wouldn't have in my sketch or in the automated process. The step-by-step directions give me additional insider information. For example, if I want to avoid a highway, if there are specific landmarks, if there are speed traps, and advisories that we give your friends. Now if we look at a sketch, there are some advantages to using a sketch versus the step-by-step directions. For example, if the person that we're instructing this is a very visual person, they may be able to understand it better. So we know that it is a simpler model, it's graphical, we can use illustrations to identify those landmarks or specific things that they should avoid, and it is low effort, meaning that your friend can look at the map and get a general sense of where they're going without having to spend a lot of time reading through all the details. Finally, let's look at automation. If you've put in the directions into an online program, it would have given you the optimal route. When you looked at the computer program and compared it to your instructions, did Google Maps follow the same directions that you did? Or did it perhaps go a different route? One thing the software also gives us is it gives us the option of alternate routes. So if we don't want to go one route, we have the other route. It's going to give us additional data information, such as the traffic. So we may not want to go the way that you suggested because there's a car accident and we want to avoid that. Sometimes it can give us information like lane guidance, if we're using the map as a GPS. And especially, we also have mistake correction. Meaning, if we miss a turn or if we're going the wrong way, the map will automatically recalculate the route and help us get to that final destination. So it's less likely that we would get lost following the automated tool than using the step-by-step directions. All three of these different ways of documenting this process have their benefits and have their drawbacks. Our goal this week is to illustrate how these narrative descriptions and these graphical descriptions are used to illustrate business processes.